1958, the height of the Cold War, a time when the world held its breath as two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, engaged in a dangerous game of nuclear brinkmanship. But amidst this tense geopolitical climate, something extraordinary was taking place in the shadows of secrecy and classified research labs. Welcome to The Lost Lab, where we delve into forgotten inventions, suppressed technologies, and hidden science. Today, we're uncovering a shocking project that would have changed the course of space exploration forever. Project Orion, the nuclear bomb-powered spaceship. You heard it right, this was an actual plan to harness the raw power of nuclear explosions as a means of propelling a spacecraft through the cosmos. The man behind this daring concept was none other than physicist Theodore B. Taylor, who worked at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, the birthplace of the atomic bomb. Intrigued by the potential of nuclear propulsion, Taylor began exploring the idea in the late 1940s, eventually proposing a full-scale project to his superiors in 1958. Project Orion's design called for a spacecraft outfitted with a series of paddles on its underside. These paddles would be pushed away from the ship by the force of nuclear explosions, creating thrust and propelling the vessel forward. The plan was to conduct controlled detonations at regular intervals, effectively punching the spaceship through space like some cosmic boxer. What's even more astounding is that this wasn't just theoretical, real-world tests were carried out. Between 1959 and 1962, a series of small-scale experiments known as Project Pioneer took place at the Nevada test site. These trials involved detonating conventional explosives beneath a sled-like platform equipped with paddles. The data gathered from these tests informed the development of full-scale nuclear designs. But why has such an ambitious project been relegated to the annals of history? As with many suppressed inventions and classified experiments, Project Orion fell victim to changing political priorities and public perception. With the signing of the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty in 1963, which prohibited nuclear weapons testing in the atmosphere, outer space, and underwater, any hopes for a nuclear-powered spaceship were effectively grounded. The question remains, what could have been if Project Orion had taken flight? Would we be living in a world where interplanetary travel is commonplace? Or would the dangers of nuclear propulsion outweigh its potential benefits? These are questions that may never find an answer, but they certainly make for fascinating speculation. So join us as we continue to explore The Lost Lab, uncovering the mysteries and forgotten innovations that have shaped our world, often in ways you'd least expect. 1957, the dawn of the space age. The Soviet Union had just launched Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial satellite, marking their dominance in space exploration. In response, President Dwight D. Eisenhower authorized a top-secret project that would change the course of history, Project Orion, an ambitious plan to develop a nuclear bomb-powered spaceship capable of reaching Mars within 3 months. The man behind this daring proposal was Freeman Dyson, a British-born mathematician and physicist who had made significant contributions to quantum electrodynamics. At the time, he worked at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton alongside some of the greatest scientific minds, including Albert Einstein. But it wasn't just Dyson. The team included Stan Ulam, a Polish mathematician known for his work on the hydrogen bomb, and Ted Taylor, one of the foremost designers of nuclear weapons. It was an unlikely group of scientists, more accustomed to building weapons than spaceships, yet they dared to challenge conventional wisdom and propose using nuclear explosions for space travel. The concept was deceptively simple: detonate a series of atomic bombs behind a massive steel paddle wheel-like structure which would absorb the force of the blast, propelling the spaceship forward. The explosion's shockwave would push against the plate, transferring its energy to move the craft. This method promised unparalleled thrust and speed, making it possible to reach velocities that traditional rocket engines could only dream of. Despite its radical nature, Project Orion received substantial funding from the US government, reflecting the strategic importance of space exploration during the Cold War era. Between 1958 and 1963, the team conducted over a dozen ground-based tests, proving that the concept was feasible. However, public opinion began to shift against nuclear testing following several high-profile accidents, such as the 1954 Castle Bravo test in the Pacific. As concerns grew about radioactive fallout and its effects on human health and the environment, the political will to continue funding Project Orion waned. In 1963, the Limited Test Ban Treaty effectively ended nuclear testing, sounding the death knell for Project Orion, yet the legacy of this audacious project lives on. It demonstrated that nuclear propulsion was more than just a theoretical possibility, paving the way for future research into safer and cleaner alternatives. Today, agencies like NASA are exploring advanced nuclear thermal propulsion systems as a means to make deep space missions more viable. While we may never know whether Project Orion would have succeeded in making interplanetary travel commonplace, its story serves as a testament to human ingenuity and our relentless pursuit of the unknown. Who knows what other suppressed inventions or classified experiments could hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of the cosmos? Only time will tell. Remember to subscribe to The Lost Lab for more intriguing tales from the world of suppressed innovations and hidden science. Until next time, keep exploring. 1958 was a pivotal year in space exploration. The United States had just launched its first satellite, Explorer 1, and the Soviet Union was hot on their heels with Sputnik 2. Amid this flurry of activity, a group of scientists and engineers were working on a project that seemed like something straight out of science fiction, Project Orion, nuclear bomb-powered spaceships. The concept behind Project Orion was simple yet revolutionary. Instead of using traditional chemical rockets for propulsion, this team proposed using nuclear bombs. The idea was to detonate these bombs behind the spacecraft, and the resulting shockwave would propel the vessel forward. This method, known as pulse detonation, promised to provide an unprecedented amount of thrust, making interplanetary travel a reality. Led by physicist Ted Taylor at General Atomics, the team included renowned scientists like Freeman Dyson and Stan Ulam. They worked tirelessly on developing a practical design for a nuclear-powered spacecraft. By 1961, they had created a detailed blueprint for a ship capable of carrying up to 200 people to Mars and back. Though, why didn't we see fleets of nuclear spaceships cruising through our solar system? The answer lies in the political and public opinion climate of the time. The Cold War was at its peak, and the thought of sending nuclear devices into space was deemed too risky and controversial. Furthermore, the advent of more efficient chemical rocket technologies made Project Orion obsolete before it even had a chance to take off. Despite never leaving the drawing board, Project Orion represents a fascinating chapter in the history of space exploration. Its innovative propulsion system could have potentially revolutionized interplanetary travel. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most groundbreaking ideas are also the ones that face the fiercest opposition. But what if we had given Project Orion a chance? What if we had overcome the political hurdles and technological challenges to build these nuclear-powered behemoths? We might have already established human colonies on Mars, or perhaps even further beyond. Today, as we look back at projects like Orion, we're left with more than just historical curiosity. We're faced with unanswered questions about the path not taken and the potential consequences of our decisions. As we continue to push the boundaries of science and technology, let us remember Project Orion and the brave minds who dared to dream big even when the odds were stacked against them. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of suppressed innovations and hidden science. Don't forget to subscribe to The Lost Lab for more captivating stories from the annals of history. Until next time, keep exploring. 1963 marked a significant turning point for Project Orion, an ambitious initiative that aimed to develop nuclear bomb-powered spaceships. Despite its promising start and groundbreaking potential, this project found itself on the chopping block due to a combination of political pressure, safety concerns, and public outcry. The anatomy of Project Orion was the brainchild of American physicist Theodore B. Taylor and pioneering rocket designer Freeman Dyson. The project's objective was to construct a spacecraft that would utilize nuclear explosions for propulsion, effectively leapfrogging chemical rockets in terms of efficiency and speed. The downfall: as with many innovations that challenge the status quo, Project Orion faced numerous obstacles on its path to realization. Among these were mounting political pressure, safety concerns, and a growing public outcry against nuclear testing, particularly in the wake of several high-profile accidents, such as the 1957 military plane crash over Palomares, Spain, which resulted in widespread radioactive contamination. Political pressure: in an era characterized by Cold War tensions, any endeavor involving nuclear technology was bound to attract scrutiny from both domestic and international political spheres. As public sentiment against nuclear proliferation grew stronger, so too did the pressure on governments to curtail such projects. For Project Orion, this manifested in funding cuts and increasingly stringent regulations, ultimately contributing to its demise. Safety concerns: aside from political considerations, safety concerns were another significant factor in the project's downfall. While Taylor and Dyson had designed Orion with multiple safeguards in place, critics argued that the potential for catastrophic accidents remained too high. Fears surrounding nuclear fallout, radiation exposure, and unforeseen consequences cast a long shadow over the project, further eroding public support. Public outcry: the 1950s and 60s saw growing awareness of and opposition to nuclear testing, thanks in part to high-profile campaigns led by figures such as Albert Einstein and Bertrand Russell. As Project Orion gained notoriety, it became a lightning rod for anti-nuclear sentiment. Protests and public demonstrations against the project intensified, fueling demands for greater transparency and accountability from those involved. The legacy of Project Orion: although Project Orion never made it past the drawing board, its influence on space exploration endures. Its innovative approach to propulsion laid the groundwork for subsequent advancements in nuclear and ion engines, while its audacious vision continues to inspire generations of scientists and engineers. In conclusion, the downfall of Project Orion serves as a reminder of the challenges faced by those who dared to challenge conventional wisdom. While political pressure, safety concerns, and public outcry ultimately led to the project's demise, its legacy lives on in the annals of hidden science, inspiring us to keep pushing the boundaries of what is possible. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of suppressed innovations and hidden science. Don't forget to subscribe to The Lost Lab for more captivating stories from the annals of history. Until next time, keep exploring. The story of Project Orion, a groundbreaking initiative that aimed to develop nuclear bomb-powered spaceships, is riddled with intrigue and controversy. The project's abrupt end in 1963 was not just due to public outcry. There were hidden agendas and unanswered questions that linger to this day. Declassified documents reveal a complex web of government agencies, military interests, and scientific communities. At the heart of it all was the Advanced Research Projects Agency, now known as DARPA, which funded Project Orion. Yet ARPA's exact involvement remains murky. Why did they pull their support? What secrets were they protecting? One theory points to the Multiple Independently Targetable Reentry Vehicle project. Around the same time, the US was developing the Strategic Weapons System, multiple warheads launched from a single missile. The resources and attention dedicated to MIRV might have overshadowed Project Orion, leading to its cancellation. However, another theory suggests that Orion's potential as a weapon system was deliberately downplayed. Some proponents argue that Orion could have been used for planetary bombardment, given its ability to deliver heavy payloads over long distances. This capability would have posed significant ethical and legal concerns, potentially explaining the project's suppression. Moreover, some documents hint at international pressure. The US was a signatory of the Limited Test Ban Treaty in 1963, which prohibited nuclear tests in space. Could this treaty have influenced the termination of Project Orion? While no definitive evidence has emerged, it remains a compelling possibility. Even within the scientific community, opinions about Orion were divided. Some scientists hailed it as a revolutionary concept, while others dismissed it as impractical and dangerous. This internal conflict could have contributed to the project's downfall. Despite these uncertainties, one thing is clear: Project Orion was a remarkable undertaking that pushed the boundaries of space travel. Its cancellation raises questions about the role of politics in scientific research and the balance between innovation and responsibility. As we delve deeper into this enigma, we find ourselves drawn into a larger discourse on how societies handle groundbreaking ideas. Like many other suppressed innovations, Project Orion serves as a cautionary tale about the potential dangers of unchecked technological progress. In conclusion, while we may never know the full story behind Project Orion's demise, its legacy continues to inspire us. It reminds us of the importance of open dialogue and transparency in scientific research, especially when such research touches upon sensitive issues like nuclear technology. Thank you for joining us on this exploration into the mysterious world of suppressed innovations and hidden science. Remember to subscribe to The Lost Lab for more captivating stories from history's shadowy corners. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring. Questions surrounding Project Orion linger. The what-ifs and might-have-beens of a nuclear-powered future that never materialized. But the legacy of this audacious endeavor reaches far beyond the realm of speculation, influencing later space programs in ways both direct and indirect. In the wake of Project Orion's cancellation, NASA distanced itself from nuclear pulse propulsion due to public perception and political pressures. Yet, the allure of harnessing nuclear energy for space travel didn't wane entirely. The United States Department of Energy, in collaboration with NASA, initiated the Space Nuclear Thermal Propulsion Project during the 1980s and 90s. This program aimed to develop a nuclear-powered engine capable of propelling manned missions to Mars. However, budget constraints and safety concerns led to its termination before any hardware could be tested in space. Meanwhile, Russia continued research on nuclear pulse propulsion through their own Federal Nuclear Center. As recently as 2014, they successfully test-fired a scaled-down version of such an engine, albeit without a nuclear charge. Despite these advancements, modern safety regulations pose significant hurdles for full-scale implementation. Given the International Atomic Energy Agency's stringent guidelines and global treaties prohibiting nuclear explosions, it seems highly unlikely that we will see a return to Orion's original design anytime soon. However, the spirit of Project Orion lives on in less controversial forms. Ion engines, which use electric fields to accelerate charged particles to incredibly high speeds, are reminiscent of Orion's pellet blasting approach, just without the radioactive fallout. Advances in material science and miniaturization could potentially make nuclear-powered spacecraft safer and more feasible in the future. As we stand today on the brink of a new era of space exploration, propelled by private enterprises like SpaceX and Blue Origin, one cannot help but wonder, what role might nuclear pulse propulsion play in our cosmic aspirations? Could it be that the ghost of Project Orion, once dismissed as an impractical dream, returns to haunt us with its unrealized potential? Only time will tell. For now, the story of Project Orion serves as a stark reminder of the delicate balance between scientific ambition and ethical responsibility. It's a testament to the power of ideas, both those embraced and those discarded, and a call to remember the lessons of our past as we venture boldly into the unknown. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring. Remember to subscribe to The Lost Lab for more captivating stories from history's shadowy corners. Who knows what other secrets are waiting to be uncovered? Thank you for joining us on this journey. Stay curious, friends.